Hi guys, it is Aldebear Art here. I am back with another video today. I'm going to be going over how I set up my art business. Now, please keep in mind, I am not a financial expert. I am not an accountant. I'm not a bookkeeper. I cannot give you actual financial advice because I'm not a professional. I do not have it. I can give you insight into my own personal journey of how I set up my art store and all things like that, but I'm not a professional. I do not have the words of wisdom. I do not have knowledge of everything in the world. It is different everywhere you live. It is different for every state. It is different for every country. And I'm not an expert in these fields. But this is something that I have done. This is something I have done on my own through my own research. So I figured I could share insight into what I did, and maybe it'll make the process a little easier for you guys. Hopefully this will be helpful to someone, or maybe entertaining to someone. So I figured I could talk about it. So, how I started my art business. So I've been doing art commissions since I was 15 or 16 years old. Up until this year, I am now 20, it was always just like a hobby for me. It was never anything big, but now I'm looking to turn it into a part-time or possibly full-time job. So because of that, I wanted to make sure I registered my business. The reason being, for all those years, I was making under $400 a year, I think it was, for the tax threshold. After you start making a certain amount of money, the IRS may come after you for taxes. So that is why most people actually legally register a business. It's not as important when you're a kid if you're not making much money and stuff, or if you're making $400 a year, I think it is, anywhere you live. It's not really as important. But if you're making serious amounts of money, and this is something you're serious about, this is something you want to do as a job, and you want to register for health insurance and all that kind of stuff, it is very important that you register your business. So that is why I did what I did. So I set up my business in March or April of this year. I can't remember the exact date, but it was right before I turned 20 years old. The very first thing I did was I opened up a separate business checking and savings account from my regular personal account. I had my business expenses separate from my personal expenses. I don't want my bags of Doritos and trips to the mall getting mixed in with my art supply expenses and shipping and all of my customer income and stuff like that. It is so important that you keep these things separate. It's so important that you open up a separate account. It's a little bit of a hassle, but it is so worth it, because if you are registered as a sole proprietor, which I'll go over in a bit, if you are registered as an artist, it is so important to keep these things separate. It is not required, but it makes taxes and other things easier down the line. So do yourself a favor, open up a separate account. Then the very next thing I did, before I even got any kind of license or anything like that, was I created a physical and digital binder to keep track of all of my records, all of my receipts, everything like that. You want to make sure you have a record of all those important documents, and you also want to make sure you have a record of all your receipts for taxes later on, everything. And also, this is just a nice place to keep all of your information down. If you have any important passwords or anything, it's a very good idea to keep this stuff kind of locked up in a safe or something if you can. But otherwise, this is just where I store all of my licenses, any important documents, all that kind of stuff. I have a physical and also digital copy. For the digital copy, I opened up a Google Drive with my business email. And basically, I made photocopies of everything with my printer. If you do not have a printer, you can literally just take your phone, make a photocopy. It's not a big deal. Just take a photo of it. Make sure you have backups of everything, because what if your house burns down a fire or something, heaven forbid? You want to make sure you have a backup copy of everything. So, I have my business checking and savings. I have my digital and physical binder. I'm ready to set up my business. What I did is I went down to my local probate office. If you guys don't know what a probate office is, they're basically where they handle marriage licenses and boat tags and things like that. It's not a DMV. Sometimes, I don't know, depending on where you live, you might have your DMV combined with your probate office. But basically, where I got legally married is where I got my business license. Just look up your local county. If you're in the U.S., look up your local county's, probate office, and you'll probably be able to find it. It's pretty easy. It's a government building. But I printed out a sheet of paper I found online. I looked up Alabama, and then my county's, business license application. It's literally so simple, and I just printed it out. If you don't have a printer, you probably go down to your local library and print it out, but I printed out this piece of paper, I filled it out, I took it down to my local probate office. They actually had spare copies there, but your office may or may not have them, so it's best to print out your own. They recommend you do that anyways. When I filled out the application, I registered as a sole proprietor, which basically just means I am the only owner and I do not have any employees. It is literally just me as the business because I am an artist. I'm not a corporation or anything like that. So that's what a sole proprietor means, because I mentioned it earlier. It just means I'm not a company. I am just me. I am the business owner. I am the business. And I already had it pre-filled out, so it made the process so much easier and faster. So I filled out this sheet of paper and I delivered it to them. Also, please ignore the dog barking in the background. It cost somewhere around $50 to $60 for my own license. It's going to be different wherever you live, depending on state and country. Obviously, it's probably going to be more expensive in New York or California, I'm guessing. I live in a southern state, so it's much cheaper for me. But I registered my business in my local probate office. That gave me a little sheet of paper, little business license, and ta-da! I'm a business, right? It's all over and done with. No. I went ahead and I registered to collect state sales tax. Now, let me explain this. Basically, just because you have a business license doesn't mean you're registered to collect sales tax. There's different types of businesses and different types of sales tax, and you have to really do your research on this kind of stuff. If this stuff is kind of scary to you, I recommend you find a professional, a bookkeeper, or somebody like that, an accountant, I don't know. But if this stuff is confusing you guys, I can't help you out too much with it because I'm new to all this. I mean, I'm going to try and answer any questions you guys might have on my own personal journey, but I cannot give you the specifics on all of this because it's different depending on where you live. I got my sales tax license. What I did is I looked up my state's Department of Revenue site, and I had to really dig through their site to find the sign up. They had 2 different signups. It was weird. Their site was a little confusing, but you look up your state Department of Revenue site and you register to collect sales tax. And basically, they send me a piece of paper in the mail to verify everything, and then I finish my registration online. So that's how it is. It's all really automated and nice, thank gosh, because of COVID, a lot of offices are closed. So you gotta keep that in mind, but that process was pretty easy. Sales tax is due by the 20th of every month. So all of the money I earned in May, all of the sales tax that I collect is going to be due by the 20th of June where I live. That's just how that works. But basically, currently I'm not paying any sales tax. And let me explain why. Based off the research that I did, hopefully this is all correct because I did a lot of research. You do not have to pay any state sales tax in my state on any services. It's only goods. So because art commissions is technically a service, it's not a good. I might be creating art for someone, but that's not a product I sell. It's a service. It's something I'm doing for a specific client. So because of that, I don't have any sales tax on it. If I were to sell prints or something, I'd owe sales tax on that. But because this is a service, I've yet to pay any state sales tax. How sales tax works, as far as to my knowledge, is the fact that if you have a significant presence in a state, I'm currently living in Alabama, if I plan on going to any Alabama art festivals or anything like that, I'm going to have to pay sales tax on anything I sell at those festivals because I have a significant presence in the state. If I were selling in also Georgia, I'd have to get a Georgia state sales tax because I'd have a significant presence in that state. But if I were to say sell online, I was making a couple sales online, I was selling a print to California and then to, I don't know, what's a state? Texas. I made a sale in California, made a sale in Texas. Because I'm not selling a lot of things in California and Texas, it's just one here, one there kind of thing. I don't need to get a sales tax license in each of those states because I don't have a significant presence. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know what's considered a significant presence. I'm just assuming you're making more than 10 sales in a month, I'm guessing. That would probably be a significant presence. I'm just guessing here. So I got a sales tax license in Alabama because I live here and I plan on doing some festivals and stuff in here. I may get a Georgia one in the future because I know Atlanta has a lot of cool art fairs and stuff. So after I registered to collect sales tax, I opened up a QuickBooks account to track all of my taxes for self-employment and stuff. And on top of that, my income and expenses, my receipts. It's just a great place to keep track of everything because they make everything so neat and they create little trackers and stuff for you. It's really awesome. So I opened up a QuickBooks account because I currently do not have a bookkeeper and I do not have an accountant. It is so important that you guys do a whole lot of research into this if you plan on opening up our business, because taxes are different everywhere you live and they're extremely complicated, and you do not want to get in trouble with the government, especially the IRS. You don't want to get in trouble with anybody. So I recommend you guys get a financial advisor, a registered CPA or something, if you're planning on doing this. But what I did is I did a whole lot of research into self-employment taxes and stuff like that. And I opened up a QuickBooks account with their highest bundle because they offer to file your quarterly taxes for you and all this other kind of stuff. And I constantly have access to a certified CPA. If you guys don't know what QuickBooks is, it's basically just a bookkeeping service. The important thing about taxes is that because you're self-employed, you have to pay quarterly taxes. If you were just a McDonald's employee, you only really have to file taxes once a year because your employer is constantly paying your taxes throughout the year in most cases, where they're paying Social Security tax, Medicare, I think it is. I mean, all that kind of stuff. All those things that automatically come out of your paycheck where you think you're making $7.25 an hour, but it's like $6 something an hour. When you're self-employed, IRS expects you to pay that quarterly. Like, literally, it's not like every 3 months. It's like 2 months and then a 3 month, and then it's like weird things. It's like, I think it was like April through May and then like June through August. It's weird. But basically, if you're self-employed, you have to pay all those taxes that a normal person would, but quarterly. And with QuickBooks, it makes things so much easier. So that's why I have it. I'm paying for the highest bundle at the moment. But so after I had my QuickBooks set up, I also created spreadsheets myself on Google Sheets. And basically, I did this to track all my income sources because I wanted to make sure I had all of my commissioner info, because I want to make sure I had their name, their email, their username, if I need to tag them in something. I want to make sure I had a record of the money I had come in, the PayPal fees, shipping fees, anything like that. I just made sure I had a record of all that. And then I have also created like a little sheet to start tracking all of my Redbubble sales once they start coming in. And I'm also starting up a spreadsheet to keep track of my YouTube income. These are just little things to help me out more. I know I can see most of my income in QuickBooks, but I just wanted a more detailed viewing of all this stuff, and also a place to keep records of all of my customer info. I've also started my trademark process. Basically, I've registered as Alderbear Art as a business in the state of Alabama, so I do have a record of all of that, but getting a trademark where like nobody else can use my name and things like that, it's a very long process, and I already looked it up before I even registered my business. Nobody else has a name like me at the moment. And I've started my trademark process. It's a really expensive thing. It can cost like $200, $300 just to get your name trademarked. But it's for a brand thing, like I want to be Alderbear Art, and I have to get a trademark lawyer and things like that. But I've started that process. That's just something you guys want to consider if you don't want to get in trouble with copyrights, and if you plan on protecting your name, making sure you don't get sued, making sure you can sue someone if they decide to steal your stuff. It's a very important process you guys should look into if you're planning on getting into this kind of stuff. Just to go over everything I just talked about, because I've been talking for 15 minutes straight, is how I started my art business. I opened up a business checking and savings account. I created a digital and physical binder of all my records and receipts. I registered my business with my local probate office, which cost somewhere around like $50 to $60. I registered to collect sales tax, so if I plan on selling any prints or anything in the future in the state, I can. I also opened up a QuickBooks account to track all of my tax information and just have a more pretty viewing of all my stuff, and also be able to send receipts to my customers and things like that. I created spreadsheets to track all of my income sources because I have income coming from multiple sites and different places. And then I've also started the trademark process to protect my name and my company and things like that. So if you guys have any questions on my business journey, please comment them down below. I will do my best to help you guys out. And of course, if this video was helpful for you guys, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have any video requests, comment them down below. I will do my best to answer any questions you guys have and hopefully make any videos you guys want to see. So, once again, I'm not a financial expert. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a bookkeeper. But this is my own personal journey in opening up an art business. And I'm Alderbear Art, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.